Let's start off. I'm going to read my notes here. So next we'll continue with the ITC Energy Report, as I said, to help educate the listeners and viewers about electric transmission. With me today from ITC are Cynthia Stump, the Regional Manager for Local Government and Community Affairs, and Gordie, Halt, Senior Engineer. And the two of them, I've been informed, work closely together. So today we're going to talk about ITC in the community, and we're going to welcome in Cynthia and Gordie. Let's start off with Cynthia.
ITC. Good afternoon.
How are you today?
Good. Thank you for having us.
All right. Yeah, my pleasure. So let's start off with the first question. ITC certainly is no stranger to MITech TV. As I said, we've done this for a couple of years previous. But for any of our new viewers, would you mind starting out by explaining exactly what ITC is about and how you work in the industry? I mean, we know, but maybe other folks don't.
Well, happy to share about who ITC is. Gordie and I have had the privilege of working together almost 20 years together at ITC. So we are big supporters of our company and what we do. So ITC is the nation's largest transmission electricity company. We own, operate, and maintain the high voltage electric transmission grid throughout majority of Lower Peninsula, Michigan, and then throughout the Midwest as well. So as you can see on our screensavers, you can see our beautiful transmission structures. So we only focus on transmission. We do not generate power or create the power, and we do not distribute the power or get it to homes and businesses. We move the power in between. So wherever the generation is created, we help move it to where it is needed most to make sure that all of our homes and businesses can have that reliable, safe power. So I always tell people, I bring my engineers with me. So Gordie, how do you think? Do we want to add any more about what energy does and how it moves from here to there?
No, I think you described it quite well, Cynthia.
All right.
So tell me a little bit about how ITC serves local communities. I mean, you kind of take the power when it's generated in mass quantities and move it to where it's split up into, the proverbial last mile. But how does ITC serve local communities?
So that is my favorite part. So that is what my team is responsible for. So we love partnering with our communities all throughout our footprint and being very active in our communities, whether it be partnering with our local municipal officials or our organizations or associations across the state. And one of the favorite parts of our job is when we get to give back to the communities that we serve. So as I mentioned, ITC just had our 20th anniversary in March. And so in honor of our 20th anniversary, we selected charitable organizations throughout our footprint where we have our transmission assets to give back. So we provided donations from the employees who had deliveries of Amazon goods or local grocery store goods, of canned foods that went to gleaners. We had canned foods and items and non-perishables that went to food gatherers in Ann Arbor. We had items that helped the housing insecure population in Battle Creek through the Share Center. We did Fleece and Thank You to help some of our hospitals around the area, and then the River Rouge High School and Wolverine Services. So just a great way of having employees provide all different types of items that could really help our communities and give back to those who need it most.
All right, so let's shift our focus to Gordie. You're on. A few questions for you. How is safety addressed at ITC?
Mike, I would say that safety is the priority at ITC. It starts with the education of our electric power system engineers when they're in school. We learn the three main tenets of the power system are safe, reliable, and cost effective. And without the power system being all three of those things, customers would not accept it to serve their energy needs. So ITC builds, designs, operates, and maintains the transmission system to meet or exceed all of the standards and codes that exist that govern safe, reliable operation. The main one of those codes would be the National Electric Safety Code. So we design, build, operate, and maintain the grid to meet or exceed all the requirements put forth in that code. And that code is similar to the code you have governing the electricity in your homes and offices, which would be the National Electric Code. Similar with the appliances in your homes, you might see UL Underwriter Lab stamps or CE stamps or CSA stamps showing that those appliances are all designed and built to meet or exceed a safety code.
This next question is something actually my wife and I actually were talking about yesterday, coincidentally. We spent the weekend in Cleveland, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, all that stuff, and we took what I think is one of the most underrated scenic drives on the Great Lakes on the way back, Ohio Route 2, from Cleveland to Toledo. And on that drive, you drive along Lake Erie, you drive on a causeway out in Lake Erie, actually, and one of the things you drive by is the Davis-Besse nuclear power plant there on the shore. And we saw these huge transmission lines going away from that power plant with houses nearby. And it occurred to us, is it safe, or how safe is it to live near major transmission lines?
In all my studies on this topic over the years, I have found nothing that makes me afraid to live near a transmission line. Our transmission lines bring electricity to consumers who need that electricity, and we understand that they must exist in the communities they serve. So our power system is designed and built and operated to live safely as a neighbor in all the communities that it serves to provide electricity to. At the end of the day, we want everyone to go home safely, whether it's an employee, a customer, a neighbor, or the general public. We want everyone to go home safely every single day.
And Matt, to piggyback off that, I was just going to say, I know exactly where that route is, and that I'm always surprised at how close that road is right to that power plant. That's a beautiful road, and they have amazing things. And it's the first question that we get out in the community is, is it safe to live by our lines? And we tell people all the time, yes, we live near these lines. We work by these lines. Many communities have their trails underneath our transmission line. So if you're in Novi or Canton Township or Saginaw Township, even in the Battle Creek area, there are many transmission lines that have bike trails underneath them and pedestrian paths all throughout our transmission line. So we're very proud of our lines and the assets and how we maintain them, so they do meet all of the safety clearances and codes.
All right, back to you, Gordie. So how can someone identify ITC's structures? I see them all over the place in neighborhoods, highways, main roads. How do we know which ones are yours?
That's a tough question. I would say the starting point would be to look at our website, itc-holdings.com, and see if you are in an area where we have a system. And from that, you can see in our backgrounds here on the screen a couple of variety of tower shapes. But I would say broadly, our poles and towers are a little bit taller than maybe the distribution poles or the telephone poles or railroad line poles that may be closer to your homes. And our wires are a little bit fatter than distribution wires. But there's a variety of pole shapes, from four-legged lattice towers to tubular steel monopoles to a variety of wooden pole and tower shapes and sizes. But I would say the single characteristic that tells you it's an ITC pole or tower would be a yellow rectangular identification sign on the pole. And just on Saturday when I was driving, I was in an area, I hit an intersection, I was staring right at a pole. I was looking at actually distribution wires on that pole, and then I saw the yellow identification tag, and that caused me to peer under my windshield and look farther up and see that the pole kept going up, and our line was at the top of that pole. So that yellow identification tag would be the thing that you can use to say this is an ITC pole or tower.
And Mike, just to add to that too, many people say, well, what about the substations in the communities? Our substations are also identified as ITC owned substations. So if it's an ITC owned substation, we'll actually have our logo, as you see in the background, at our substations as well in their communities.
So what kind of wires are on those structures? Is it different than, the drop wire to your house? What kind of line is it?
It's similar to the drop line to your home, except it's fatter. So it's a bundle of small conductors wrapped around a center steel core usually. And I would say it's larger in scale. And our newest conductor layout that's being used is actually two fat bundles twisted together in what's called a T2 wire. And that T2 design actually stops the wires from galloping in a snow, ice, and windstorm, which increases reliability. But broadly, it's a twisting of wires, aluminum and steel. generally that are wrapped together and exposed to the air. So there is no coating on them.
All right, Cynthia, you're up. I've got some questions for you. Once ITC decides to build the necessary infrastructure project, how do you work with the affected communities in underneath or around or nearby? How's that happen?
So our team is very proactive in working with local government leaders, whether it be elected or appointed. We really pride ourselves on doing that proactive outreach and being very transparent with the communities. We love to tell people the who, what, when, where, why, and how of ITC projects. We try to be always out in front before a transmission line or substation is built, and working with community partners to best understand their communities and their ordinances. And then we work with landowners that are impacted through our real estate team and our land agents to notify them about upcoming projects that could come through letters. It could come through door knockers or different door hangers as well. We also utilize our company website to educate people on our capital projects all across all of our footprints, so people can do their own research and find out better information as well. And then we have our team that also is available beyond the proactiveness. We have a reactive customer line as well, where people can call and talk to Kim or Rodney and have direct questions answered by subject matter experts throughout the day, Monday through Friday.
All right. So how do people who are curious about this that want to learn more, how do you learn more about ITC, what it is, what it does?
So we love when people want to learn more about us. So you can call us anytime, Monday through Friday. We're 8 to 5 Eastern. So if you want a live person to talk to, like I said, we're not a large call center. It's Kim or Rod that will answer the phone. You can also look after 5 p.m. Eastern on our website, which is ITC-Holdings, HOLDINGS.com. And then along with that, you can fill out our website. There's a form you can reach out to people. And I always tell people, if it's a question that's really technical, you're probably going to get Gordie, who you see today. And if it's more on the broader base, you'll probably going to get myself or someone on our team. So at ITC, we are very proud to have about 750 employees, and we know who the subject matter experts are, and we're happy to talk to people and help educate and inform of what we do and when we're doing it.
And I've been at your facility in Novi. I've even been not in the control room, but in the viewing area above the control room. We still got a minute or so left. Anything that you'd like to express?
I would just encourage residents, if they have questions, to please feel free to reach out to ITC. Again, it's ITC-Holdings, HOLDINGS.com. Our projects are on there. If they are interested, our team is available. If you have questions about the safety and reliability of the transmission lines, please give us a call. Gordie is great in coming out to talk with residents. We're often at different events in the community. So as we're coming up into summer months, look forward to ITC as a partner with many of the sponsorships throughout the footprints. And we'd love to hear from our residents and local officials. And thank you for having us today. Gordie, anything you want to add?
No, I would just echo your thought. If you have any questions about how to live, work, or play safely near a power line, please reach out. And we have the people here who are happy to answer your question.